Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Now, when you think Washington State, most people picture, mountains, lots of rain, coffee. Lots of coffee.
Definitely the coffee.
Right. But if you peel back that sort of green, foggy layer, you find something else. Much richer, darker even, and definitely spookier.
Yeah, and what's really striking looking through these sources is just the sheer amount and the variety of Washington's documented paranormal stuff. It's quite something.
It really is. We've got this stack of sources detailing, everything. Elegant old hotels, abandoned asylums, ghost towns.
A whole geographical tour of the haunted, basically.
Exactly. So our mission for you, the listener, is to dive into this, pull out the most maybe surprising facts, the specific spirits who just won't leave. It's kind of the shortcut to knowing Washington's spectral side.
And we figured we'd start where the ghosts are maybe best dressed, the historic hotels and lodges.
Makes sense. Where do we begin? Seattle.
Seattle, yes. The Hotel Sorrento opened way back in 1909, and it apparently has a rather high society ghost, Alice B. Toklas.
Wait, Alice B. Toklas? Gertrude Stein's partner. But hang on, the sources are clear she was buried in Paris, right? With Stein back in '67.
Yes, exactly. And that's the fascinating part. Why haunt Seattle?
Yeah, why would someone with those deep Paris ties haunt a Seattle hotel?
Well, the theory, and this is what the sources suggest, is that ghosts aren't always tied to where they died or are buried. They cling to connection.
Connection, okay.
And the speculation is the hotel is built near where her family home used to be back in the 1890s. So maybe it's a childhood tether, an ancestral thing.
Huh. So it's the memory, not the grave.
Seems like it. Guests report things mostly around room 408, also the big green-tiled fireplace in the fireside room. And there are even sightings of her apparently strolling the garden in her fur coat.
Very specific. Okay, so ghosts and memories.
Right.
Got it.
Oh.
Let's head out to the islands. San Juan Islands.
Right, the Hotel de Haro in Roche Harbor. Even older, 1886. Haunted by a figure named Ada Beanie. But the really macabre thing isn't in the hotel. It's nearby.
The architecture you mentioned.
Yeah, the McMillan Family Mausoleum. It's called Afterglow Vista now. It's this open-air stone circle, like a rotunda. Big limestone table, stone chairs around it.
Okay.
Get this. Those stone chairs, they're crypts. They hold the ashes of the family members.
Wow. Serious.
Yep. And the table itself, it's a sealed vault holding the founder, John McMillan. His ashes are in the table.
That's beyond eccentric. Do the sources say, why? Was it meant to be a tourist thing or just their belief?
It was apparently tied to their beliefs about the afterlife, family unity, that kind of thing. But today, yeah, it's definitely a tourist attraction. Very grand, very creepy. It ties into the island's whole spectral feel,
All say, okay. Moving down the coast, the Toklas Hotel, 1885. This one feels different, more tragic.
Yeah, this involves the story of Charlie. He was a Chinese immigrant, and the story goes he died hiding in a secret spot behind the fireplace.
Awful. And the activity reflects that.
Very much so. Classic stuff, really. Lights flickering, strange noises, people seeing apparitions that just vanish. But what's interesting is the hotel embraces it.
How so?
They keep a paranormal logbook right there for guests. If you see something, you write it down, document it.
That's proactive. Okay, contrast that with the Shelburne Hotel down on the Long Beach Peninsula, 1896.
Also haunted by its owner, Charles Beaver. But he's less subtle than Charlie's manifestations.
How so?
Loud stomping. That's his signature. Heard on the top floors, and guests have reported feeling someone sit down right on the edge of their bed while they're sleeping.
Okay, nope. That's creepy. A very physical presence.
Definitely. And that mix, the sophisticated and the physical, you see that again in Port Townsend, which, as you mentioned, is famously haunted.
Right, one of the most haunted towns. The Palace Hotel there, 1889. It used to be a brothel.
That's its history, and its most famous ghost is called the Lady in Blue, named Claire. Story links her to unrequited love. She haunts room 4, apparently.
And what do people report with her?
Strange noises, sometimes the scent of sweet perfume, really distinct, and sightings of, well, a sad-looking figure. It's that blend, again, elegance and sorrow.
Okay, so we've checked into the haunted hotels, the shift to the city. Ghosts of commerce and community, back to Seattle, Pike Place Market.
Yeah, you'd think with all those crowds, day in, day out, ghosts wouldn't stand a chance, but nope. Major hotspot.
Who's haunting the market?
The sources point to 2 main figures. First, Kiki Sobru, also known as Princess Angeline. She was Chief Seattle's eldest daughter. People still report seeing her around the market grounds.
Oh, and the second?
Arthur Goodwin. He was one of the very first market managers. Shopkeepers sometimes see him. Apparently he likes browsing the books at the Goodwin Library near the entrance.
That's oddly normal. Just
Yes.
browsing books, a very quiet haunt.
It is, but then you get Kel's Irish Pub, which is not quiet.
Right, I've heard about Kel's. Supposedly the most haunted pub in North America.
That's the claim. And there's a really crucial piece of history that explains why it might be so active.
Okay.
The building. It used to be Butterworth and Sons Mortuary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That would do it. A mortuary.
Exactly. It kind of reframes all the activity people report, doesn't it?
It does. Because the reports are intense. Glasses flying off shelves or just floating, mirrors cracking on their own, handprints appearing on windows.
Yeah, really physical, sometimes destructive stuff. The sources suggest that maybe because it wasn't just about death, but the processing of death, embalming, viewings, intense grief the energy left behind is just incredibly volatile.
Makes a grim sort of sense. Is there a specific ghost there, like at the hotels?
The owner reported seeing one quite clearly, a mixed-race man wearing a suit jacket just sitting at the bar. Sometimes people call him Charlie. Apparently that name was seen written in condensation on a mirror once.
Charlie the mortuary ghost.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's a strong contrast to, say, Tacoma, Old City Hall there, built 1893.
Right, Tacoma's ghost seems more bureaucratic,
Yeah.
or maybe just mischievous.
How so? Staff getting locked out of offices, things being thrown.
Yeah, classic poltergeist stuff. But also, get this, the police. They've been called out repeatedly since the mid-'70s, investigating lights turning on, alarms going off, weird noises.
Then they find.
Nothing. No forced entry, no explanation. And the tower bell, sometimes it just rings by itself at weird hours, like the building itself is haunted.
A civic haunting.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's University Heights in Seattle. Different vibe entirely.
Totally different. Used to be a school, now it's a community center, and the ghost is supposedly a little boy who went there.
What kind of activity?
People report seeing him, just a glimpse running down the halls, but also hearing sounds like kids laughing or even singing, like echoes of entire groups of children. Much less threatening, but still eerie.
Yeah, echoes of the past. Okay, so we've seen elegant ghosts, urban ghosts, playful ones.
Mhm.
But Washington's history has a much darker side, too.
It really does, and we have to talk about those places. The institutional sites, the really isolated spots with heavy histories.
Absolutely. Starting with Northern State Hospital,
Yep.
Skagit County, opened 1912. This place has a heavy reputation.
Extremely heavy. At its peak, it held over 2,000 patients, and there's a cemetery on the grounds with over 1,400 burials.
And the history of treatments there. It's rough. The sources mention strenuous forced labor, electroshock, lobotomies, forced sterilizations.
Yeah, a lot of suffering happened there. So the atmosphere, understandably, is described as oppressive. The most common sighting people report: a nurse pushing a male patient in a wheelchair. An apparition.
Chilling.
Yeah.
And what's happening there now? It's not still operating, is it?
No, it closed decades ago. But here's the strange part. A lot of the grounds, they've been turned into a recreation area, hiking trails, even a disc golf course.
Wait, really? A disc golf course on the grounds of a former asylum with mass graves?
That's what the sources say. It raises some interesting questions, doesn't it?
It does. Does that change anything? Now, the spirits. Does putting a place of leisure on top of so much trauma affect the hauntings? Do the sources touch on that?
They don't really detail the ghosts' reactions to the disc golf specifically, but the fact that sightings persist, even with this modern overlay, it suggests the trauma, the energy, it just kind of overrides the current use.
The past pushing through. Okay, let's contrast that with Fort Vancouver. Older history, right? Fur trading post, military base, back to 1824.
Right. A different kind of history, more structured, military, commerce. And the hauntings there seem a bit more contained. Mostly centered around the Grant House, on Officers Row.
What happens there?
Again, some classic stuff. Staff report phones ringing even when they're completely unplugged, doors opening or closing by themselves. Standard poltergeist activity.
But less malevolent feeling than Northern State.
Seems that way. They've even nicknamed one recurring figure Sully. Apparently, Sully likes to hang out in the cafe, maybe enjoys a spectral cup of coffee alongside the current visitors. A ghost just sort of coexisting.
Sully the coffee ghost.
Okay.
Now, let's get really remote. The isolated places. Mountains, ghost towns.
Yeah, deep in the Cascades. First, Monte Cristo Ghost Town. It was an old mining town from the 1890s. Totally abandoned now. And getting there is serious commitment. It's an 8.5-mile hike just to reach it.
Wow. And what awaits the hikers who make it, besides ruins?
Ghosts of miners, apparently. People report hearing things, phantom sounds of pickaxes hitting rock, seeing shadowy figures still on the job, endlessly
An
mining.
eternal shift. Grim. And then there's Wellington, near Stevens Pass. That story is incredibly tragic.
It is the Wellington Avalanche site. 1910. It was the deadliest avalanche in U.S. history. 96 people were killed when 2 trains, snowbound, were swept away.
Just awful. And the site is haunted.
People who hike through that area, which is also remote, report hearing things on the wind. Phantom train whistles, the sound of footsteps crunching in snow that isn't there, disembodied voices. It's like the tragedy is imprinted on the landscape itself.
A mass tragedy, just frozen in time, echoing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift from the wilds to places built for performance. Theaters.
Right. Dramatic spaces seem to attract dramatic residents. Like the Mount Baker Theater in Bellingham, built in 1927. It supposedly has 4 regular ghosts.
4? Any standouts?
The most well-known is named Judy. The story is she lost her home when the theater was built on the land, so now she haunts the theater.
What does Judy do? Is she angry?
More of a prankster, it seems. The sources say she likes to pester men in the restroom, specifically, and she apparently develops crushes on male projectionists, or ushers.
Crushes. How does a ghost show a crush?
Ghostly touches, like a tap on the shoulder or back when no one's there. Playful, but definitely startling.
I bet. Okay, then there's the historic Everett Theater. Older, 1901.
Yeah, and the activity there really seemed to kick up during renovations in 1993. Like the construction stirred things up, especially in the projection booth.
What happened up there?
Weird stuff. Staff reported seeing a sweater just lift off the floor and float for a bit. Another time, someone felt extreme resistance trying to open the booth door, like someone was holding it shut, and then it suddenly burst open. And seeing a man's face looking in through the booth window when nobody was outside.
Okay, renovations definitely seem to annoy ghosts. Noted. Now, Port Townsend came up earlier. You said it's like a hub.
It really is. The sources consistently mention it as one of the most haunted places in the country. Over 25 known haunted sites just in that one town.
Wow. But let's zoom in on one specific place that gets mentioned a lot. The Oxford Saloon. Not in Port Townsend, but Snohomish, built 1900. Known for violence.
Yeah, the Oxford has a rough history, and it shows in its spectral residents. It's probably one of the most investigated spots in the state.
Who's the main ghost there?
The most documented one is Henry. He was apparently a policeman, maybe also worked as a bouncer at the saloon, and he was murdered there.
Murdered on the job, and now he haunts the place.
That's the story. He's often seen on the basement stairs, and he apparently has a habit of pinching women, in the restroom specifically.
Charming. Henry, the pinching ghost policeman, is he alone?
Oh, no. There's Kathleen, said to be a former madam, often seen in purple. There's Amelia, a tragic fixer, supposedly forced into prostitution there and later found dead in a closet, and just a generic figure of a man in a bowler hat. It's crowded.
A whole spectral crew. But wasn't there something about them being helpful sometimes, despite the violence?
Yeah, that's the weird paradox. Amidst all the murder history and pinching, there are reports of chairs being pulled out for patrons, like ghostly courtesy alongside the scares.
Bizarre. Okay, so pulling all these threads together, what's the big picture from these sources?
Well, it's the sheer density, isn't it? And the incredible range. We went from, high society ghosts and fancy hotels like the Sorrento, all the way to the really grim history of northern state and these violent saloon ghosts. It covers such a huge swath of Washington's complex past.
And for you, the listener, what's the takeaway here? What does knowing all this do?
I think it shows that this history, even the spooky parts, even the traumatic parts, it's still really accessible. It's physically there. You can take a ghost tour at Pike Place Market, or if you're adventurous, hike out to Monte Cristo. The past isn't entirely past.
It's present. And there's that strange pattern you highlighted. Kell's Pub, the old mortuary, and the Oxford Saloon, site of murder, both intensely haunted.
Right. 2 of the most active places according to multiple sources. And what are they now? Pubs, saloons. Places people specifically go to relax, socialize, consume.
Which leaves us with a really interesting, maybe unsettling thought directly from the sources.
If ghosts, as speculated, tend to linger where they died or where they felt intense emotion,
Then why are so many of Washington's most potent haunts concentrated in places designed for modern fun and relaxation? Are they drawn to the energy of the living? Or are we, maybe subconsciously, drawn to places where that line between life and death was crossed so violently or tragically?
something to think about perhaps next time you're out and your drink mysteriously slides across the bar.